Angeline Clarke is here from Azclarkelaw to talk about why it's so important to have a will. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So it's a good time of year to kind of get your house in order, right?
Yes, it is. And what better time to actually start to think about putting together a will? A will is usually a good part of any estate plan. And estate planning usually entails protection, preservation of your assets during your lifetime, transferring and distributing those assets while you're alive, and also make allowances for how they'll be distributed post-mortem. And to the extent that it's possible, to also protect them even after death. So, and in order for us to get that, in order for you to actually have an effective estate plan, it's advisable to also include in that package. It won't be a good plan without a good will as well.
Right. And I think a lot of people, a stumbling ground for them is like, oh, it's so complicated. You have to list everything you've got and who you're going to go to. But it's not that difficult.
No, it is quite simple, actually. The lawyer usually guides you through how the will is prepared. Well, the lawyer does the work, really. And all you have to do is you get a checklist. I usually advise my clients, I give them a checklist. You go home, you put together, you answer the list, or you put together a list of things, you hand them over to me, I take care of the will. So it's not a very difficult process altogether.
So what kind of things are on the list then?
Well, usually it is about your finances, because if you're going to be distributing your assets to other people, then you really need to know what you have.
Right.
So anything you own is an asset. You don't need to have a lot of wealth to classify something as an asset. You purchased a home, that's an asset. Okay, so you're going to list your assets, including maybe your finances as well. So if you have RRSPs, you have mutual funds, and if you own like a small business, if you own farm property, if you own farm vehicles, those are assets. So you're going to put together a list of all those assets, and those are the things that you're going to be leaving or devising to your heirs. So it's a list of the things that you want to gift to your family, you want to pass on to your family members and your beneficiaries after death. That's what your assets are. Now, once you've put together a list of assets, then any good lawyer can organize a will for you. The lawyer offers you advice on how you can structure them, and you sort of say how you want things distributed. That's the purpose of your will. That's your will, really. It's your will, right? It's saying what you want done.
And then sometimes if you've already got a will, sometimes you have to make changes, like if there's a change in marital status or...
Yes. So usually, I advise my clients that you update your will as things change. So significant changes would include, okay, I'm going to get married, or I was married and I'm getting a divorce, or I'm separated, I'm remarrying. Maybe I'm having some children and I want to update to add that, or I have grandchildren now. I want to update my will to include some grandchildren that weren't in the original will. So any major change that you think will affect the way you'll distribute those assets says, well, it's time now for me to actually update that will as well.
And do you actually have to like name each and every single person, or is it like you could put in something, my children or my grandchildren?
Yes, there are different ways to put together a will, and for each person it might be a unique situation. So I would recommend that you sit down and discuss with your lawyer the best way to go about drafting your will for your needs, because we don't usually do generic will for everybody. I mean, you know, you could do a generic will to start, and then as time progresses you can update that will and change it to make it more specific to your needs, because each individual has different assets and different needs, and so the will should be tailored to suit your wishes.
Okay, and it doesn't take very long to do at all.
No, it doesn't. There's just a misconception that this is something I have to take time.
It's over daunting,
right? And then people delay, and you know, it's not something that you should delay doing. The minute you start to acquire an asset, it's a good time to start thinking about drafting a will.
Right. Because all kinds of problems can relate afterwards if you don't have a will.
If you don't have a will in place, you wouldn't want your kids or your grandchildren or your heirs to be disputing over your property after you die. So it's very good to actually put in writing, or someone to inherit that you never intended to inherit your property. Because if you didn't put in place a will, then legally the law allows for distribution to occur, and it might be distributed in a way that you would not.
You wouldn't want to.
Right.
Some good advice there, Angeline. Thanks very much, and Happy New Year to you.
Oh, Happy New Year to you too, Annette. Thanks for having me.